Picking my TBR is my favorite part of the reading process. Hi, I'm Nikki, the Obsessive Bookseller. Welcome to my channel. Today we're doing a TBR for Q3 of 2024. And as you can see behind me, I've got an ambitious lineup of books. Not that I'm planning on getting through all of them. There's about 30 titles here, but it's more the pool from which I will select. On a good month, I read about 7 books, but I've found myself slowing down a little bit. Really trying to savor the things that I'm with and not constantly trying to push myself to get to the next read on my endless TBR. And of course, I have a bunch planned for challenges, buddy reads, book club. It's all in there. For this quarter, I'm mostly going to be focusing on owned books and finishing series, or at least limiting how many new ones I start. Doing this like hyper fixation on just like one main, this is amazing, I must devour it now, priority series. And for me, that one shall continue to be the Sun Eater series by Christopher Ruocchio. I read books 2 and 3 this year for different challenges, one of which is an upcoming video that you haven't seen yet. In any case, I'm tired of messing around with it. I just would like to continue the series, really dive in fully, and appreciate every moment. And then I also have Ashes of Man and Disquiet Gods. So come hell or high water, I will be finishing those this quarter. It's my favorite thing I have going right now. I'm enjoying it thoroughly, and I can't wait to continue. Also getting read this quarter for a buddy read with my patrons, Speaking Bones by Ken Liu, the 4th and final book in the Dandelion Dynasty, and I can't wait. Veiled Throne was an interesting read, and it was meant to be combined with this final book as one long story arc. So of course there wasn't really a lot of momentum. There was a lot of setup in that one, which is why I think this one is going to be a screaming good read. And I can't wait. This author has definitely established trust with me. I believe in the vision. A lot of the weird tangents we got in the last book I think will have a lot of bearing on this story in one way or the other. But I am so excited for this one, the finale. And as a bonus, it'll mean I'm finishing a series. Yes, I'm behind in the Sanderson secret projects. I've only read Tress of the Emerald Sea. Absolutely loved it. I hear the Frugal Wizard's Handbook is not as good compared to the rest of the secret projects, but yes, I would like to read it. Honestly, with these like heavy, kind of darker books, maybe this will be exactly what I need, and I'll end up liking it more than the average. One can hope. And then, of course, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Of all the Sanderson releases, this is the one I'm most excited about. Probably should just skip the other ones and go straight for this one, but I'm a creature of habit. Release date is important to me, so I'm going to read them in the order of release, probably. Very excited for this one. I don't know anything about it. I don't really want to know anything about it going in. I really love this like blind experiment. And Sunlit Man, which I hear, the only thing I know about it is I probably should read it before the next Stormlight book comes out in December. So I'm probably going to be picking this one up for our deep dive challenge because it's sci-fi. Perfect, right? And then next in the lineup, after I finish the Sun Eater, I want to switch my focus back to Shadow of the Abt. I have placeholders for the books that I don't own. I was collecting them in paperback, but then the Broken Binding came out with these gorgeous hardcover editions. So I stopped buying the paperbacks and I'm kind of holding out for when those nice editions get released. But anyway, one of my favorite series that I'm into right now, kind of military fantasy, but there's so many other creative elements going on that there's a lot more to it than that. Character driven, love the characters, very unique. Love the concept. People have bug attributes, and they're divided into factions based on the type of bug they are. The world has expanded well beyond the bounds of what I got in the first book, and even though that one continues to be my favorite, the exploration of the unknown continues to drive my excitement for this series, so cannot wait to continue on with this. I was kind of bouncing back and forth between this one and Sun Eater, but I decided I really wanted to focus a little bit more, so that one edges this one out just a little bit, but I cannot wait to get back to this series and hopefully finish it out this quarter. For Patreon Book Club, we picked 3 Kinds of Lucky by Kim Harrison. It's the start of a new series, The Shadow Age. And here's the thing, I nominated it for book club thinking this won't win, and I had it against some other pretty decent titles, but it won! I'm so excited! I love Kim Harrison. She has a few high fantasy series that came out before she got into the Hollows writing, but since then she's had a bit of a difficult time publishing things other than Hollows. So the Drafter series came out, I read it, I enjoyed it quite a bit, but I can see the different points that made it not catch on. Unlikable main character, kind of a disjointed, unclear to the reader anyway, vision of what was going on. So hopefully she wasn't too discouraged by the lack of that success and has done something really fun here and just been Kim Harrison. I love this author's writing. She's urban fantasy focused nowadays, but writes it with the same slow pacing, deep character immersion breadth that you would get from a fantasy novel. So I cannot wait to give this one a try. In a couple weeks, my patrons and I are reading The Last Witch by The Wisher. You know what I mean. This is book 0.5 in the series. I'm not holding my breath that I'm going to enjoy this one, but you never know. I haven't watched the show, but I do know that the storyline is out of order. So I think going in knowing that the storyline is out of order will help me keep engaged with it, and hopefully I'll end up liking it. We'll see. I'm not planning on reading any more in the series anytime soon, but it would be nice to dip my feet into it to see if I'd like it. Hopefully. Because I've collected these really beautiful hardcovers, and it would be a shame to own all of them and then to not like them. I'm kind of starting to get known for that. Also buddy reading with my patrons, Priory of the Orange Tree by Shannon Samantha. Good God. By Samantha Shannon. I don't really know anything about this other than there's a dragon involved, and that's the way I like it. I like going in blind. Supposedly a standalone, but then they came out with a prequel. And so in my mind, a standalone means I won't feel any obligation to read anything else because there isn't anything else to read. The fact that there's a prequel means there are 2 books in this series that I must pick up. But I get it. When it came out, it was marketed as a standalone because there was probably only one at that time. But then the new ideas generated and money got involved, and now there's another one. But I don't believe anything's ever a standalone until like 10 years have passed and there still hasn't been a new book. But then again, To Kill a Mockingbird got a sequel like 40 years later. Everything's a series, and even though I'm trying really hard to not start new series, we're starting one, and it's a big one. But it seems like a really fun story that I've heard a lot of positive things about, so I am excited to give it a try. And my patron Dave and I are continuing the Siege series with How to Rule an Empire and Get Away with It. I don't know that we'll have time for this 3rd book as well, but we've got book 2 on the schedule. If you caught my top 10 best books of 2024 so far, 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City is my favorite book of the year. Will the second one compare? I don't know. It's got big shoes to fill, but I know I like the writing voice and the tone and the storytelling aspect, the humor. All of the foundation that made 16 Ways so good will most definitely be in here as well. So even if I don't like the story as much, I'm predicting it's going to be at least a 4-star read. I can't wait. And then represented here, my deep dive challenge, we've decided to extend another quarter. So I've committed to at least 6 science fiction books that have yet to be determined. And I have little placeholders for my shelf so I don't forget to incorporate them. Now the thing is, these days I've been planning out my readings so rigorously that having a little bit of element of randomness put in there goes a long way towards keeping things fresh and interesting. But that being said, I'm balking against the fact that I don't have actual titles here to show you of for sure which ones I'm going to read. This is my version of living on the edge. I've got placeholders here for Emily Henry, books I haven't bought yet, but plan to. I've read 3 books so far, Book Lovers, Beach Reads, and People We Meet on Vacation, and now I still need to read Happy Place and Funny Story. I'm going to do Happy Place next just because in order of publication. These aren't connected books by any means. They're not part of a series per se, but I've loved the first 3 so much that it feels like I need to continue to complete, that it kind of feels like a series. These are lighthearted, very witty. I love the relationship development in it. Usually the best relationship aspect of it isn't even between the main character and the love interest. It's between all the other people surrounding their lives. I love that. I love that they're not in like this vacuum of just what's going on with them and that they feel like real people. There's always good backstory that's not so ridiculous that it's unbelievable, right? Because everybody has things that they're dealing with, and the things that shape them are kind of what shape how they can relate to other people, and that's what makes the conflicts. And I think it's so good. So I'm very excited to try Happy Place. And I feel like these books lend themselves better to summer reading anyway. So yeah, this would be a great quarter to finish it out. And then last but not least, I have placeholders for digital arcs that I have access to, upcoming releases that high priority, so excited to read. I'm going to make time for if I can. So the first one, Blacklight Born by Alexander Darwin, the 3rd and final book in the Combat Code series. I loved combat codes. It was so good. It was perfect. School setting, fight sequences, training sequences, intricate hand-to-hand combat with just a little bit of magic involved. Good characters to follow. Loved the snot out of that book. The second book, maybe 1 star knocked off. Like, it added a few POVs. I didn't enjoy it quite as much, but I did like the idea of where the story was going, kind of the momentum building a little bit. So we'll see if it brings it home in this third book. I'm very hopeful. At the very least, I know it's going to be an entertaining read, but I'm excited to see what the author does with it. It comes out in December sometime. Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. I'm actually kind of new to the Cerulean Sea story. I read it 2 years ago, and it's been out for quite a while. The first half, I wasn't sure, like I was enjoying it. I thought it was a good read, very easy to read, entertaining, and then the magic happened around the 50% mark, and from there I fell in love with the story. And I got to the end of it thinking, you know, I really could read more. And there's more! This is a continuation. I am very excited to pick it up. It's one of those that I'm predicting I'm going to rate highly, because it's just got that X factor quality to it that just, I know it's going to delight me, right? It comes out sometime at the beginning of fall. I didn't realize I was going to have this many new releases on my list when I first created it. This is kind of like a last minute addition. So I will put the dates on the screen. Demon's Bluff by Kim Harrison. This is book 18 in the Hollow series. The last book felt a little bit like a setup to me, so hopefully this is going to be the start of this new momentum building culmination that I love so much about this series. There have been a couple of arcs throughout it that have just dazzled me. And I love the ideas, I love the characters involved. This series is not stale at all for me. I'm absolutely loving what she's doing with it now. And there's a new one. Can't wait. And then Winter Lost by Patricia Briggs. This actually came out a week before I'm filming this, and I'm a bit late to the party. I had a digital arc, but yeah, didn't get around to it. This will be the first Patricia Briggs book that I'll probably try on audio, just because usually I like hound for arcs way ahead of time, and they're usually available like 6 months ahead of time. But it got away from me this time, so I will be experimenting with that to see if listening to the audio takes away from the experience at all. I love this author. This is another urban fantasy that I don't feel like is stale, but I will say she is dragging things out a little bit longer than I would have liked. So there are a bunch of enigma characters, and in each book we kind of dig a little deeper into each one of them, but you get the sense that not all has been revealed, and you have to keep reading to find out more. But luckily, the urban fantasy component, the supernatural elements are so much fun, and the core cast of characters are great. So even though it's dragging a little bit from a developmental standpoint, they're still highly entertaining reads, and I actually appreciate that she's taking a little bit longer to write them now, because I feel like the complexity of the plot and how good the mystery is benefiting. Can't wait. Well, apparently I can wait because I missed the release date, whatever. And then last but not least, Monstrous Nights by Genoveva Demova. I read Foul Days this month, and it is so much fun. I loved the crap out of this book. It would have definitely made it to my top 10 had I finished it before that one was released. Came out June 25th from Tor. It's a duology. This is the second book, and I am diving in immediately. In fact, I imagine by the time this video goes live, I will have already read at least half of it. I think the characters are great. The monster creation is awesome. I feel like it's really infused into the story, and not in really a gimmicky way. It feels culturally grounded, and there's a mystery element going on that I like. There's a bit of dry humor too in there that I've laughed out loud a couple times, things that caught me off guard. And I'd say the best thing about it is it creates this amazing atmosphere. The tagline on it is Witcher meets Naomi Novik. And I haven't read Witcher yet. I'm assuming that was the comparison because of the vibes and the fact that there are monsters. But Naomi Novik, like if you liked Spinning Silver, this is an amazing pick for you because it has a lot of those same elements. Only with Spinning Silver, I really didn't like where the story ended up. But if you liked all those components but want something like more fun and sparkly, like this is awesome. So yeah, Monstrous Nights, high priority. It'll be coming out sometime in October, and it'll be finishing the duology. But I gotta say, just from the first book, I will be picking up anything this author decides to produce next. I love it. So that's my lineup. So many good books to read. As I mentioned, I've been slowing down a little bit, trying to savor these stories because these are incredibly high priority reads for me. And I don't want to be reading a book and feeling like I'm rushing through it just because I have so many on my list. And I tell you what, it's been the missing factor in why I've felt a little dissatisfied with reading lately. Being a bookseller and then a content creator, especially a content creator who has so many challenges and commitments going on, it has turned reading into kind of more of a systematic thing where, like, I even spout to you, yeah, I read 7 books a month. Because in order to get through them all, I have to read at a very particular pace or else I miss video uploads. I let down people who are counting on me to join reads. And there's this underlying stress that gets attached to what is supposed to be the most enjoyable hobby that I have. So in an attempt to alleviate that, I'm slowing down a little bit. I'm allowing myself to bask in what I'm reading, and I am prepared to face the consequences of missing a few commitments here and there because of it. But man, I've slowed down for about 2 weeks, and already everything feels so much better. Between now and the end of the quarter, I've read even a fraction of the books that I mentioned today. I think I'm going to be happy with that. The only drawback is you're going to get the same titles listed again on my quarter 4 TBR. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what books you're excited to read in the upcoming quarter. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.